Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Pranay Shrivastava, co-founder of WheelStreet and now Chief Strategy Officer of Pankuri. Pranay has been a part of Y Combinator program in 2017. Hi Pranay, welcome to ELI.
Hey Priya, thanks for having me here. Um, yeah.
Pranay, would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Yeah, so I'm Pranay. I am the founder of WheelStreet.com, which is India's largest bike rental portal. And I did WheelStreet from 2014 to 2019. And now I am Chief Strategy Officer at Pankuri, which is a women-centric platform where they can do social shopping and everything around women. And apart from this, I am associated with a couple of more ventures. That is one influencer marketing agency called Fanway Today and a couple of more organizations. Basically.
Okay. Pranay, tell us when did you start your journey as entrepreneurs? When it all started?
Yeah. So basically in 2014, when I was in the final year of my college, I got really excited about the entire entrepreneurship that was happening across India. There were people who were moving from uh, safer career option to starting their companies and everything that was going around a lot in 2014. And I was always excited about tech, mobility, bikes, everything. So that made me start WheelStreet in the final year of my college, that is 2014.
Did you start it all by yourself, or did you find like-minded people who started with
Yeah,
you?
so we were three people to start it. It was me, Moksha Shrivastava, who was my co-founder, and another co-founder was Mrityunjay Kumar Jha. So we all three come from the same background. We were from the same school. And then I was in Bhopal and Mrityunjay and Moksha were in Delhi. So I moved to Delhi and we started it from Delhi. So this was the first team that came together. And we shared, the good thing was we shared a common vision and we all wanted to solve for the mobility. So basically, that's when we started it.
Okay. Uh, when you started the first day of entrepreneurship, what are the things you did, you and your co-founders?
Yeah, so basically, a very good part about us starting was that we all three of us faced that kind of problem in terms of commuting in our respective cities. So we all have rented bikes at any point of our time. So that was a very big thing that while starting, we that made us really excited because there was a lot of validation. And then we started really small. So we started posting on different sites and we started getting orders. So those orders were our motivation that kept us going and like taught us to make it big, basically.
Hmm. Okay. But there are so many problems to solve in this world. Why you chose this particular problem? What is your background in this domain?
Yeah. So basically at YC also they always say that make something people want, and whatever you are building, you should be a customer to it. So this was a problem that we were facing on day-to-day basis. And when as I was in college, Moksha was in college, everybody was in college. So we saw this as a very common problem around us. So like usually college students don't have a bike. Basically, if you see, most of them don't have, like in India.
Hmm.
Uh, so going to places or maybe attending, if they are doing a crash course for 2 months, how do they commute to that crash course for 2 months? So that was a problem. Basically, so that's why we picked it up. And it was like, I am a biker myself. I've done so many bike trips across this. For the tourism industry also, if you see, bike rental is an industry in India which is I guess one of the oldest industry. Like even 60, 70 years back, there were people who used to come to India, majorly people from different countries. They used to come to India. They used to take a bike from Delhi and go around India and then drop it back. So we saw that there's a huge gap, and with technology coming in and everything becoming hyper local, location based search and mobile in hand, we thought that there's a huge opportunity here to fill the gap between existing vendors or existing fleet that is available in the market and people who are looking for bikes, basically. So that's why we got excited about this industry.
Okay. Speaking of Y Combinator, you mentioned YC. Many of our audiences, they are also very excited about this YC program. Many of them have tried to be part of YC, but couldn't get through. Can you tell us uh, to those who may be aware of YC, or to those who are not at all aware about YC? Can you tell us what is YC and how, in what ways it will help you as a founder or co-founder, and how is the selection process?
Yeah. So basically, YC, I would say, is like one of the best networking program in India, along with the startup mentorship. So you can compare it more like you can compare it to something like an MBA, where you go with an idea, and then that idea is nurtured. You have partners, you have people in your team who all of them are building big companies, or maybe super smart people. So what you get is you get a good 3 months to build your product from zero to something which is presentable. And even the smallest insight you can get solved by your partners or your people around you, because there are office hours and there are different kind of networking event where you discuss your problem. So basically, that is the best part about YC, that you get to solve it sitting among the group of people who are like one of the best in different fields. And yeah, so but basically that's YC, where you get to build real products.
What is the selection criteria? How does one get through? Why I'm asking this, because I have seen many people who have applied to YC but didn't go through.
Yeah, so one is that it should solve a problem. That is a very important thing. Basically, like YC always says, that make something that people want. So it can be anything. And second should be that your knowledge of the idea and your excitement about the industry. Basically, like when you're applying, it should not be that, okay, this is something which is doing good and I should apply with this. Whereas it should be like that, I know everything about this industry. I am really excited. I want to make a change, and I know how to do it. Basically, these are the things that you should know while applying to YC. And they just check your confidence level, because whatever you build, you build over the journey. Usually, you are at day one or the first half of your business, first quarter of your business, when you get into YC. So basically, whatever you learn will be a later stage. It is more about what's your confidence like, and what excites you about that market, or what is that unique insight that you have about the market. So whichever you should know the market to get into YC. Then only they can help you with the right business plan or right pivots.
Can you name some of the founders or co-founders who joined the same batch as you and made it big in the startup world?
Yeah, so I would say that Cash Free is really doing good. There was a company, there's a company Cash Free which is into payments processing. They are doing good. And then there are a lot of global companies. So YC is basically a community of global companies. So there is Standard Cognition, that is one of the best companies in you like no human checkouts. You can go to the store, you can pick something, and these kind of companies are doing really well. And also, like, there are different kind of companies. There are companies in health tech, there are agri tech, and across the globe. There was a company PayFaz who is like building Paytm for Indonesia, so or the South Asian market basically. So that was a beautiful company, and they're growing like anything. So yeah, those were the some companies.
Okay. Pranay, when you build a venture that invests in assets, for example, bikes are assets. I don't know if you bought bikes yourself, or you also rented to from someone else. But when you build a venture, there is a capital investment. So can you tell us how did you manage the initial investment? And
Yeah, so we were always asset light. Like we never bought bikes, and from day one we always wanted to build a tech platform as compared to asset platform. But yeah, whenever you're planning asset for a venture, it has to be planned for at least 3 years or 5 years. That how do you get the repayment of that asset? You should always be sure of what you're doing. So basically, if you're getting into asset heavy business, you should have a plan to asset repayment, like the asset repayment period. You should calculate even the smallest thing, like what will be the depreciation and where will this asset help us reach. So that is it. If you have the right plan, then like arranging arranging money for this asset is not a problem. Basically, you should have the right plan in place that okay, this is the time of asset, this is the repayment period, this is the depreciation and everything. So that's the thing majorly that you have to plan.
In your case, how did you manage the initial funds to build the platform?
Yeah, so we were lucky that investments that we at very early stage when we were just setting up our first website, there were a couple of angels who really got excited about the bike rental market, and they gave us the initial investment. That was an investment of 10 lakh rupees just while starting up. I was just a fresh graduate, like 21-year-old, and I got 10 lakh rupees to maybe experiment around the market. So for us, it was easy because we were in an industry where we were seeing a lot of early validation, like the bikes were getting booked. There was no like there was no platform to book bikes basically in 2015. If you see, there was no bike rental company online. The only way to book bikes is you go to Just Dial, you call someone, and then you ask, then you negotiate on phone. That was the way. So like now you see that the bike rental has really evolved. It's like one of the biggest fastest growing industry, especially in the startup world. Yeah, so basically that's why the bookings were easy for us. We were doing crazy revenues from day one. So that's why money was not a problem.
Okay. Speaking of angels, can you tell us how do you find these angels? I think many of our audiences are looking for angels to, even get started on the prototype phase. So can you tell us?
Yeah. So for us, we found it through mutual contacts. So we had a couple of people who were who were entrepreneurs who were in the startup industry already. So they connected us to a couple of angels. And you always you to raise an angel round, you should have people who can vouch for you. Okay, that you are smart. Okay, this person is someone who is doing something crazy here, and you should put money into it. Because that's how you raise money. Basically, there should be people who are vouching for you that okay, Pranay is doing something crazy here, you should put money in Pranay. So basically that's so you have to find contacts, or maybe angel networks are also doing great at this time. But for us, the round was pretty early as compared to when we reached angel network phase. So for us, it was through contacts.
Okay. Pranay, tell us what are the different challenges you have faced along the way while building your different ventures, WheelStreet and Pankhuri and other ventures as well.
Yeah. So there are so challenges keep coming. So challenges is something that every morning there's a new challenge. So I cannot specifically mark out that this is a challenge, but if whichever department you see of building a venture, you have to do recruiting, you have to raise funds, you have to do good marketing, you have to be unique, you have to be innovative. So everywhere there is a challenge. So right from hiring the right people, retaining the right people, and this is the first challenge. The second challenge is financial management. There has to be a plan always in place that okay, this will happen next, and not if this happens, what will happen. So it's full of challenges. Like there is every day there's a new challenge basically.
Okay. Pranay, as an entrepreneur, you are also a human being. Human beings are emotional. They have ups and highs and lows. So how do you manage when you face a situation there is no motivation to go forward, to keep marching? How do you manage such situations?
Yeah, so basically there's no period where there's no motivation to go forward as a founder, because when you start the journey, you started with uh, with the aim to reach somewhere. There should be a point, okay, I have to reach at this point. So until you reach there, you should not go out of like the motivation phase. And yeah, basically even if there are situations where there are tough days, so basically you have to always look at the good part, because see if the company is growing, there are always good parts as well. So if there are five, like I was saying, that there's a recruiting is a challenge, this is a challenge, there are 5 different type of challenges. So if there is a low at one of the part, there's always a good factor at the other 4 parts. So that maybe equals it in the long run.
Okay. What is your motivation? When speaking of motivation, what is your motivation to be an entrepreneur? I think you are a bright guy. You can become whatever you want to become. But why entrepreneur? Why such so much uncertainty?
Yeah, so basically there's no uncertainty in entrepreneurship. It is like it's a myth basically. You have to be you have to plan it well always. And the other thing is that my motivation is that I was into businesses, and I was trying to do things since a very young age. So basically, when I was in my 11th, I started a company called Om Solutions, which was basically a consultancy which used to tell students that which course, because I faced that challenge that whether you should take science or commerce. So we did when I was in 11th, along with one of my tutor, we did that at a good scale. So there were around 300 kids that we consulted. That's when we did at 11th. And then after this, in college also there were different things. I was very actively involved in fest. I was involved in Make a Difference, and also doing small activities like even in college time I went in fair and sold handicraft. So there always have been a journey that that I was excited about, because I always wanted to build something. And then that's why in the final year of college itself I started, okay, like now it's a time to maybe start making something, so that by the time I graduate I have something in hand and I don't have to go for a job. So that's why I did it in the final year at the placement time. So when the placement started at college, so I started the company. So basically that wasn't the plan, I think, always, that I want to get into this side of life.
Okay. Talking about placements, let's get to the family side of being an entrepreneur. So what we have seen is our Indian parents, they have an expectation that our child is studying engineering, and after engineering he should get placed in a good company and get settled in life. But when you choose to become a founder and start your own venture, you add a lot of uncertainty to your life, to your family's life as well. uh, what we have seen is not many families have supported the entrepreneurs to pursue the path in their life. What was it in your case? How did your family react to it? Did they support you?
Okay, so I'll talk about broadly most of the families in India. So if you're doing good in your whatever you're doing, even if you're doing entrepreneurship, and yeah, there might be some roadblocks from family that, okay, what are you doing and everything, but they'll always give you time. I don't think that there will be any family will say that, okay, no, don't do it for 6 months. Even if you ask for 6 months, but you have to prove yourself at different stages in your family also. So if you're doing good in entrepreneurship, they will always be happy. Yeah, you choose the right field. But also if you say that, okay, I've started a company after college and you're not doing anything for a year, so that is what worries them, that, okay, what is this? So there should be always a growth, and they should and if you're not able to convince your family that you're going to do this business and you are going to make it for like for the mass market and everybody's going to love it and we will achieve that kind of growth, if you're not able to convince your family, then how will you convince people to give you money at the later stage, or people to join you? So there are so many factors. So like they are the first, basically I would say, angel, VC, or whatever, or first employee, your family, where you have to do the right convincing pitch so that they can go ahead. And also, so there should be always, as I said, there should be always a plan, basically, that, okay, if you are doing entrepreneurship, there should be a death stop, that, okay, in a year, if I'm not able to achieve anything out of it, so maybe I'll find an alternate, or maybe I'll find why I'm not doing it, and I'll not just keep stretching it. And so that is how it has to be planned.
Okay. Pranay, tell us what is your vision personally as well as with your ventures?
Yeah. So personally, so now it's been close to 6 years like that I'm in this industry, in the startup industry, basically. So now I have a very different personal vision as compared to what it was when I started. So my personal vision is that, yeah, I want to make company. I want to create a lot of employment, because I've seen that that we are the one who are able to create employment. So maybe personally, I want to create at least 3,000 to 5,000. employment opportunity. And for the company, for the company, basically it is like always for me, it is always NPS that I want to make a company which my users love. Maybe it can be anything. It was when it was bike rental, so maybe giving them the best bike rental experience in terms of reducing. So when in 2014, if you wanted to rent a bike, there was a 10,000 rupees security deposit. But WheelStreet was the first company that brought it down to 0 rupees. By some, we took risk also. We told the vendors also. So that's why people love the company. Basically, everywhere for the company, it should be that it should be even if it is a small set of users, but those users should always love you. There should be a lot of word of mouth and all these things. So basically, a company that is loved by user is the goal.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Uh, Pranay, tell us, how do you compare entrepreneurship with a 9 to 5 job?
Entrepreneurship is also a 9 to 5 job. I would say it is a 9 to 5 plus 5 to 1 job. So basically, there's nothing like 9 to 5 job. We do everything. Even there are people who are coming from maybe 9 to 5 job, or maybe so it is there's nothing different. We have to do everything. It is a 9 to 5 job, it is a 5 to 1 job, it is a 9 to 1 job. It is a full day of efforts. Like you wake up in the morning, and by the time you put your phone at DND at night, it is uh, your work is on, basically.
Okay. Pranay, you have been into entrepreneurship since last 6 years, and you would have seen multiple founders and co-founders along the way, especially being part of YC and different communities. Tell us, what are some of the interesting lessons you have learned along the way, seeing other people and seeing your business as well?
Okay, so the biggest lesson that I've learned is, one is that it takes time to build business. Okay, so these two things usually don't go along. But one is that it takes time to build business. It takes a good 4 or 5 years to build that kind of scale of business. And the second is that you should, in a period of 2 3 years, like when you're doing, you should know when is the stop point. Basically, um, you should not stretch it after a certain point. So basically, the growth, if the growth has stopped for 3 months, then there is a point where you should take some tough calls. But also there is that you should be uh, patient for at least 5 years. That is an important thing, like while building a great business. But that also doesn't mean that you stretch it for 5 years. If you're not seeing growth in the second year, you have to say no. So basically, that is a very important point.
Okay. Let's talk about recruitment. I believe you have hired multiple people along the way, and also would have let go many people throughout. Uh, can you tell us what is the single most crucial factor that you see in a person while hiring them, as a employee or as a investor or as a partner, with anything?
So it totally depends on the type of person and the profile, basically. But if I say one important person is that I see is disciplined and focused towards life, that how much is this person serious about life. That is a very important point for everyone. Basically, after the quarter life, like after 25, I feel that the people should, so because most of the people that I've hired are young. The people I've worked with are usually young, between the age group of 25 to 35. So mostly I've seen, what I see is discipline should be there, and yeah, that's the most important point.
Uh, Pranay, when you have hired someone and you see that the hiring did not go well, that means the uh, uh, hiring decision didn't benefit the company. Then how do you deal with such a situation?
So first, while hiring, we have to be very sure. Even if it takes, so at startups, at our stage of company, usually we don't hire in an hour. So maybe we spend as much time as possible with that person. So So at first place, even if we are hiring someone, we should be very sure that we are not hiring someone who is not right. Because if we end up wasting a month or two, then this causes a speed issue that we have focused like the targets. But if there is a situation like this where we have a wrong hire, we speak to them basically. You have to maybe we put every possible effort because there is some reason that we have hired this person. So we put every possible efforts. We try to find out the problem, that where is he breaking really, and and then try to solve it for them. And if we are not able to solve it, then we take decisions accordingly.
Okay. What are some of the best recruitment practices while hiring for startups?
You have to be very open. You should never lie in the recruitment process. You should be very open that what you are building, what is your culture, what is the work type over here, and basically you don't have to be cool about your startup at the time of hiring because you're getting someone person who's getting on board. You have to be very open. You have to discuss with them that what they'll be doing and what you will be doing. So basically it should, while hiring for a startup, it should never be around key, hey, we have raised this much of money and we are growing this fast, whereas it should be always be around key, hey, what are your plans basically, if you come in, and how can you add value. Basically that is the most important thing.
Pranay, there is a statement called don't fall in love with the product. What is your comment on that?
See, uh, for me, I've always loved product because I've made even smaller things from scratch, like thinking, sketching down on pen paper. But the statement comes in that, like I was saying, that the most important part in a startup journey is, one is that it takes 5 years to build business, and then also is that when you're not growing for the 2 years, you should always take a tough call. So in this situation, this statement fits good, that don't fall in love with the product. Uh, but you should always love your product. So it is like that, don't get very emotionally attached to what you have built, so that you end up giving it all your life and your savings, and you max out your personal credit cards, and at the end you realize that if I would have taken up a call 3 months back, then it is like something else. So that's where this fit in. But basically you should love your product, whatever you're building, and then only you will be able to spend time at night finding more things, that what can be added, what can be removed, and everything.
Okay, Pranay, this is one particular kind of bias we talked about. There is another kind of bias. I want to give you a scenario where I have seen companies such as there is a meat delivery startup. They only hire non-vegetarians. There is a wine delivery startup. They only hire people who consume alcohol. Similarly, there is a baby nappies product startup. They only hire mothers, that too mothers who have babies who are wearing napkins. Similarly, uh, maybe you would have hired people who are bikers into your biking startup, right? So tell us how important is it to hire people who are customers themselves? Is it crucial for a startup?
Um, it is a good thing basically, because see, there are a lot of things culturally. So if you talk about meat delivery and for the meat delivery startup who usually hire non-vegetarian, there's a lot of cultural thing that you take care of. Whereas if you're hiring for, what is the example, the third one? Okay, so if you're hiring for something like basically
For example, biking startup, bike rental
yeah.
startup. You only hire bikers. Why
Yeah,
is
so for biking startup, it depends on what you are hiring for. So if you're hiring for marketing, so you should hire someone who knows basically that what goes in the blood of a biker, and what he feels like, what Royal Enfield one ride really means, and what is like that rider mania that happens. Or maybe even if you're doing it for commute, then he should know what are the pain points basically. So so it depends on the profile basically, and I don't think that these kind of biases can help a company scale after a certain extent, uh, because there can always be there can always be situations where you find someone who is good, and this so there are always exceptions. But Yeah, it depends on the size of the company. It depends on the profile, everything where you take such decisions.
So, is it good or is it a bad practice?
Uh, so let us say for the meat, so if one example was meat
Let's
startup,
take
one example
example of
was
a beauty startup where they mostly hire women. Uh, so, tell us about that in that context.
like, let us say Sugar Cosmetic is one of the fastest growing brand, and
Mm.
it is a like a men and a women are founders. So basically it nothing changes. You have to under basically if I am working in the beauty segment, I have to uh, get very deep into the beauty segment. I have to think like a woman maybe, or I have to read a lot, and that's how you take decisions. Like basically if I'm doing like let us say R is a women centric platform. So after joining for the first 3 4 months, I even read what goes inside a female brain. Basically, how do they think, how do they make decisions, and everything. So whatever person you hire, he should be very willing to learn all these things and to escape. If you feel that this is a thing for some profiles, you can hire females themselves. So that is the thought process.
Okay. Anyway, the
I don't think that this is very safe to hire a certain set of group uh, in the longer run. Maybe you can restrict it up to 300 or maybe 1,000, up to 1,000 people. You can say that, okay, we will have this kind of bias, but that after that, there will be definitely a problem.
okay. I was going to give another example, but anyway, I think we have come to a conclusion. Yeah. Uh, my last question to you, I think we are short of time now. My last question to you: how would you suggest our audience to start their journey as entrepreneurs?
Um, so basically, never start a journey because it is cool. You should have a problem to solve, and you should basically what are entrepreneurs? So if we define entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs are not someone sitting off a co-working space and wearing a fancy coat next to a MacBook and doing big talks. Entrepreneur is also that guy who takes a loan from somewhere and puts 20 cars and starts a car rental business. Basically, he's also an entrepreneur. So what is he doing is what's common between entrepreneurs is they're creating some employment or some value. Basically, every business that you have seen have grown has created massive employment. And if you are able to create employment, this means you are creating value for someone. That's where how you are able to pay, basically. So if you are able to create value, if you really feel that your business is going to create employment and there is a value that is being added to it, then you should jump into entrepreneurship. And you should always plan your at least plan in terms of at least a year. That should be your personal plan. Always said that, okay, if and that to the plan should be always that this is the best that I can do. This is the if the things go worse, then what do we do? And everything should be there. So basically, that's the first stage of entrepreneurship, where you sit with yourself in a room and you try to spend some 3 4 days or more than that in trying to figure out that, okay, this is what I'm building, this is what I'll need, this is where I'll reach, and these are the challenges. And if I fail, that this can happen. If I do good, then this can happen. In the mix, everything should be planned.
Okay, I think we have come to the end of the session. Any final message you want to leave to our audience before we end?
Yeah, the final message I would say is if you are getting into entrepreneurship, then you should be fully dedicated to it, and uh, like you should get into it. Matlab, you should make companies. It should not be like that you are becoming something cool, because that follows. If you are able to do everything in office, then the other part, everything comes out. So whenever you are doing it should be like your 100% devotion. It should be like extremely devoted. Your 100% should be there. Everything should be like it's not a 9 to 5 job, basically. As you said, it's like something like that. You'll always keep coming across problem in the phone, and you always have to solve it at as fast resolution. And the people that are working with you should always consider that, okay, yes, this is the person who can solve my problems immediately. So these are the things, basically, that always plan.
Okay, on that note, I'd close this session. Great to have you here, and it was a pleasure to share screen with you. Uh,
All right, stay. Thank you.
Viewers, you can follow and connect with Pranay on LinkedIn by searching for Pranay Shrivastava. So whom do you want to have here at ELI for next episode? Do let me know in comments below. Stay tuned to ELI.